getting back together. We are never, ever, ever getting back together. Oops, wrong video. Let me fix that. Never, ever, ever leave these behind at a thrift store. If after watching this video, you still leave these items behind at the thrift store, then you probably invested in FTX and you're married to your cousin. I'm not judging you, but you're probably not smart enough to be a reseller. Maybe you should apply for the Raiders. They don't mind making horrible decisions. Now let's head back to my office so I can show you guys my top 10 sales of February. Let's go. Before we get into my top 10 sales of February, I want you all to go subscribe to my channel and leave a comment down below with your best sale of February. That way I can also learn something from this video. I don't want to be the dumb thrift store that's leaving behind profitable inventory. Now, let's jump into those sales. The 10th best sale of February was this Wings and Horn varsity jacket in a men's size large. This had leather sleeves with a wool chest area, and it did have many different flaws on it. It had a lot of pilling on it, as well as many discolorations on the inside, and some wear on the elbow where the stitching has come undone in the leather. So there were many flaws on it, which is part of the reason that I let it go for such a great deal. Ended up taking a best offer of $68 plus shipping on this, and it sold in about 12 hours. Wings and Horn is a good brand to be on the lookout for. I don't think that they're currently making items anymore. If you go to their website, I think as of a few years ago, it says that they're repositioning the brand, but they do have quite a few collaborations that are out there with different companies as well. And most common one that I find is I think it's Adidas collaboration. They also have some of their own items such as this. It's more of a designer brand. I wouldn't say it's like super designer because I don't think it's that crazy expensive. Not like into the thousands, more just in the hundreds. But they do have more of like that aesthetic vibe to them. And if you find any of their items, they're probably going to be a pretty decent seller, especially if you find some of their jackets. The 9th best sale of February was this Isratex US Army jacket in just a men's size small short. So it was a very little size, but it sold in 5 days for full price, $68.88 plus shipping. So I've been buying and selling more of these Army jackets as of late, and I've found some things that are good about them and some things that are less good about them. I think the reason that this one sold for so much, even being in such a little size, was the fact that it was one of the high temperature resistant ones. So it doesn't say flame resistant, which I think might add some more value to it, but I think that's kind of where it's going with the high temperature resistant. But as you can see on the 4th item there as well in the tag, it says the manufacturer of it, so Isratex. So that's also going to make a factor of how well or how not well it's going to sell. So make sure you include that in the title as well. Also, some of the ones that have been selling good for me are the extreme cold weather ones and some of the parkas. So keep your eye out for these Army jackets. The 8th best sale of February was this vintage Quicksilver jacket in a men's size large. This one took a little bit longer to sell. It took 99 days to sell, but it did sell for full price, $69.95 plus shipping. I think this one might have actually been in very good condition, which is a little bit surprising when you find some of these older Quicksilver items. I find them a lot of times to have a lot of wear and discolorations on them, but this one was in great condition. But keep your eye out for almost any of the vintage Quicksilver items. They sell for quite a bit of money. I've sold probably 4 or 5 items from them in just the past 30 to 60 days, and as long as they're vintage from either the 80s or 90s, then they're definitely going to have some value. Any of the new age Quicksilver stuff, just leave it behind because most of it isn't worth anything at all. The 7th best sale of February was this Rain Spooner Hawaiian shirt that had this St. Patrick's Day print all over it. It took 403 days to sell, so over a year to sell, but it ended up selling for a best offer of $70 plus shipping. I actually sold another one of these same shirts that wasn't new with tags in February for about 20 bucks less than this one. So it was just about the right time of the year for these to sell with St. Patrick's Day coming up soon. So even though this item was sitting around for much longer than I like my items to sit, it was still a great sell and sold for a ton of money. So if you guys have watched any of my videos before, you'll know that I sell a ton of Rain Spooner shirts, and I just know what to look out for now. It's not necessarily something I can explain in one video. It's just more of a trial and error, picking up certain patterns, certain prints, certain even sub-labels within the brands. So I normally actually say that this label with the Joe Key Aloha Rain Spooner collaboration is not a very good label to be picking up. It's not very sought after, but in this instance, that was not the case. This was an item that was very valuable, and it just took the right buyer to find it at the right time of year. The sixth best sale of February was this Roger Federer Nike sweater that sold in just 5 days for a best offer of $78 plus shipping. I normally pick up all Roger Federer items that I find at the thrift store anyways, because even just the polos sell decently well and for a decent amount of money. But this one, when you felt it, you instantly knew that it was quality. This did have a 30% wool blend in it, so it did have a little bit better materials. And I actually found this item at a thrift store for either $7 or $10, and it wasn't at the beginning of the day. This item has probably been sitting on the rack for a few hours at least, and it was passed over by many thrifters, probably some resellers, thinking that it was just a basic Nike sweater. But if you don't know the feel of different types of materials, then you also might have left this behind, because the Roger Federer logo was on the inside. That was on the inside of the rack, so you couldn't see it. So keep your eye out for any Nike Roger Federer items at the thrift. The fifth best sale of February was this Rain Spooner Hawaiian shirt with this Elvis Presley print on it. It was new with tags, but it had some flaws on the bottom of it where it got stained or a little bit discolored just from being stored. But it was still a great sale. It took 92 days to sell, and it sold for a best offer of $95 plus shipping. I did actually pick this one up from a OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace meetup. I think I paid about $50 for it, so not making a huge margin on it, but still after fees and shipping, I'm going to make somewhere in the neighborhood of $35 to $40, which is a great profit for just one item. And if you ever find this at the thrift store for $5, $10, or even $20, it's a great pickup. The fourth best sale of February was the CC Filson wool jacket in a women's size small. This was a chore jacket with a bunch of pockets on the front of it, and it actually had some discolorations on it. It wasn't in pristine condition by any means, but it still sold quickly. It only took 1 day to sell, and it sold for a best offer of $100 plus shipping. I'll show you guys some of the wear on it, and you've actually probably noticed from this video that there are multiple items from my top 10 sales that had many flaws on them. So just because an item has a flaw doesn't necessarily mean that it's not worth it. If it's a high quality item that can still last a long time and has a high demand, then it can still be very valuable. If these were basic, everyday items that had many of these flaws on them, then I'd definitely be passing on them. But it's okay to make exceptions for these really strong selling items. The third best sale of February was this John Varvados goat suede leather jacket in a men's size small. It was a bomber style jacket, very soft to the touch, but it did have many scuffs and flaws throughout it. But it still sold quickly. It took 14 days to sell, and I took a best offer of $120 plus shipping. I think I actually picked this one up at a resale shop. I paid up for it a little bit, maybe around $40 or $50, still making a very healthy profit at that price. But like I said, it had some flaws on it, had some scuffs and some marks. I didn't, spend any time trying to get it dry cleaned or to try to clean out this. I like to just sell my items. I pick them up knowing that I'm going to sell them with whatever flaws they have. And it was well worth it because this one turned a quick profit. Now, John Varvados is not a brand that you want to be picking up every single item from. It is a little bit more expensive brand to buy retail, but the resale on all the items are not great. The outerwear, those do much better, and some of the more substantial pieces, but they're just basic button-up shirts like in the plaids. Don't do very well. I've actually completely stopped picking those up, even at a low price. If they have a better print on them, or if there's something a little bit more unique, or have a better material, then they're okay to pick up. The second best sale of February was this Flint and Tinder wax trucker jacket. It was only in a men's size small, but it was made in the USA and it is blanket line. And Flint and Tinder is a great brand to be on the lookout for. And usually waxed jackets from most brands are also something to be on the lookout for. So the collaboration of those two items was what made it such a great seller. I ended up taking a best offer of $130 plus shipping, and this item sold in one day. This is another item that was not in perfect condition. There were some flaws on it. A mark here on the sleeve, a pretty significant flaw because it's not very light. It's like a dark mark. And there's the label that it was the wax trucker jacket. So like I said, Flint and Tinder is a great brand to be on the lookout for. And don't mind paying up for these a little bit because there's still a ton of profit to be made in them. The number one sale of February was this vintage Patagonia snap tee pullover in just a men's size extra small, but it was made in the USA and had this amazing Aztec geometric print all over it. So these are something that I'm sure everybody already is very much on the lookout for. But one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to pass on these even when they're marked up. This one sold in 36 days for $175 plus shipping. And even if you pay $50, $60 for that, this is still a great item that's going to make you a ton of profit. And this one was only in a men's size extra small. So you can just imagine that if it was a bigger size, it would have sold for even more. So keep your eye out for some of these Patagonia jackets that have the crazy prints on them. I'm sure everyone's already looking for them, but don't be afraid to be the one that pays up for them and make sure that you're the one that gets them in your inventory to make a nice profit. Thanks for watching all the way till the end of the video. The only thing that would be dumber than passing on any of these items at the thrift store would be not subscribing to this YouTube channel. So go do that right now. Peace.